Hello, everyone. It looks like we're live. Hopefully, it's working. I should check and see. Anyhow, welcome. We're coming to you from Patty. My face looks crooked. It is.
I think everything about
Yeah.
this production today is crooked.
You know what? We're doing our
I
best.
played a bag of M&Ms on my leg.
Yeah, I'm letting you use the M&M if you want. So you want an M&M?
If it looks weird, it's because we're not in our studio. We're on vacation. And so we're making the best of it because we didn't bring our setup like we normally do.
No, there's no way.
So, well, no, normally we just bring the other camera and we make shit. Didn't do any of that at the time.
Got our laptop here on top of a box.
Yeah.
And
the magic. I'm not even wearing pants.
Wow. And we're just sitting on a bed in bad lighting with a deer behind us.
That's right. It looks like we're it's some sort of like a hillbilly country, and we're actually in France.
It's a Sequoia lounge, and it's actually like a Bambi Thumper room.
Is that what the theory is?
Yeah, it's Bambi Thumper, and what's his name?
Pay attention, there's a Bambi planing over here.
Yeah, it's all the way
The whole thing is like we're in the forest.
In the forest.
It's weird.
Anyway,
yeah, so we're in France.
We're talking about the movie Nosferatu.
We decided that since we're in France, why not talk about a movie from Germany?
Is it?
Well, the original movie, the original 1922 version was a German film.
Oh, that silent movie.
And then I believe the movie doesn't take place in Germany except for the Transylvania, whatever stuff, or wherever it goes.
Yes.
So it's a foreign film, if you will. We're not doing trailer. We're doing a little bit different because we didn't have the big setup.
And I'm in
this
hotel
was kind of a
internet.
So this kind of spur of the moment. We decided not to do the full setup, so I'm sorry if you're not getting the quality that you never watch anyway.
The quality that you've come to love.
So if you don't know about Nosferatu, it's actually an unofficial version of Dracula. So it was a silent film made in 1922, I believe, that starred this guy, Max Schreck, who played Count Orlok, or originally it was Count Dracula. But there was lawsuits with the Stoker estate and all this stuff. And apparently all the original film negatives, supposedly due to the estate and lawsuits, were destroyed. But then the film was found again. And it's kind of become this thing. And it's classified as like a top film and whatever. It is a fantastic film. If you've never seen it.
The 1922 black and white silent film.
Yeah, it's called Nosferatu, A Symphony of Horror. Yes. I believe that's what it is. But it's a fantastic movie. But you are reading it, it's the old school silent. It's not subtitle silent film. It's the one where the little screen comes up with the dialogue. So there's been a lot of remakes of that movie as well.
Yeah. So there's lots of Nosferatu versions.
Yeah. So Robert Eggers, who is the director of The Witch, The Northman, and there's another one I forgot that I really liked that he did.
Let's find out. Hold on.
Anyway, those are his bigger ones. But he is a huge fan of Nosferatu, who even did apparently like directed a high school production of it. And I remember after reading an interview, I want to say it was after The Witch, that he said that his second film was going to be Nosferatu, but then came back and decided he didn't think he deserved to make this movie yet.
Oh, wow.
He needed to be a more experienced filmmaker. And so I didn't think this movie was ever getting made. We kept hearing about it every few years, and then it'd go away, and then it'd come back, and then it'd go away. Anyway, we're here.
Here we are.
We finally have it. And it's kind of almost a shot per shot ideal of the original film. There's some little updates, tweaks, things like this, and a little more depth to the story. But I'll let her tell you the story.
The Lighthouse is what you're
The Lighthouse, which is it's one of great movies. But I'll let the lovely Mrs. Drew here tell you what Nosferatu is actually about.
So Nosferatu, basically the story, it's this woman who's having these haunting visions of this impending evil that is coming. And so that's, what's her name? Lily Rose Depp, Johnny Depp's child. And we don't find out all of her story until later. It begins to unfold. At the same time, her husband is sent off to go meet the mysterious Count Orlok, because supposedly he is going to move into the country
He's
and
trying to sell property or whatever.
no, he's trying to buy an old estate.
Well, he was trying to sell him property.
Yes, so he's a realtor, basically. He's a big time fancy realtor.
Well, in the original story, his boss is Renfield.
Yes,
who is the familiar to Dracula.
Correct.
In the original story. In this one, they actually changed their name.
It's a different name, but same thing. So basically, he goes off to the Count's home in the mysterious edge of town, out in the country, where no one wants to go into the castle, and the people are like, "Don't go, don't go." But he goes anyway, and of course, craziness ensues because we know the story that he's going to try to suck his blood.
That's right.
There you go.
So this new one stars Nicholas Hoult.
Yes.
Lily Rose Depp, as she mentioned.
Yep.
Willem Dafoe.
Yep.
And Bill Skarsgård as Captain Orlok. Count Orlok.
Hey, Captain.
We actually sat down. Had you ever seen the Nosferatu original before we sat down and watched it again? Because I had seen it, but I didn't know if you'd ever watched it.
I'd seen it at some point.
Or pieces of it at least or something.
Yeah.
It's very creeping out.
Anyways,
yeah, the shadows of this thing, the ones of him just standing there like this. Those are very
Buffy.
Yeah, they're very iconic visuals of that. But we actually sat down and rewatched the original first, which I'm really glad we did.
Yeah.
Because you can see how accurate this new one is. But it's also
because it seems like kind of a shot for shot somewhat.
Oh, on some level, yeah. But it's also its own thing. And it's also a way darker movie than the original. What did you think of this new variation, ma'am?
I really liked it. It's like the best. I don't know if it's the best movie ever. I really liked the movie. I thought it was really good. And then comparing it to, since we'd just seen that 1922 version and seeing this, it's really cool how they made the effort to really kind of follow that original story. But now we get an expanded version with dialogue and with full music and makeup, and it's just really good and actually makes me appreciate that original one better. And I told you we were watching, like, they did really good. This was the 20s.
Yeah.
So the makeuping and the effects of them shooting the shadows and all that, they did such a good job on that original
there's some
one.
great shots in the original film.
And
there's always that urban legend that Shrek was a real life vampire.
He might have been.
Where the movie Shadow of the Vampire came from. Which got Willem Dafoe playing the Max Shrek character, but in that movie he's actually a vampire. So if you haven't checked it out, you should watch it. So it's ironic that he's now in this movie playing Van Helsing. Is that who he's playing?
No, he's a doctor. He's Professor von Frescher.
Well, so that's a Van Helsing character, but I think it's Van Helsing in the original and the Dracula movie and stuff.
Maybe.
Anyway, I love this movie. I'm with you. I love that it was so much effort and detail put into recreating the original movie, but it still has its very own voice.
Yep.
And you don't need to ever have seen the original movie to watch this movie.
Yeah.
I think this is also a unique experience from a standpoint of it won't work for everybody because it's a period piece. The way the story is told, sometimes you can kind of get lost in the elements of subtlety because you're dealing with like 2 or 3 layers, and then there's little elements that happen that you're like,
what's happening?
And it all comes around and makes sense. It's just, it's not like a stereotypical movie is told of force feeding you stuff, right? Because like even the one in the 20s doesn't, even though it has a little more of a need to explain everything to you because of it being a silent film,
right?
It's still kind of fragmented in its storytelling.
Yeah.
I was a little concerned with how are they going to pull off Orlok, because the original Orlok is very iconic in design. And as much as I wanted that version of him, I thought it might come off silly if they tried to recreate it. And what I liked about this is they did not recreate it at all. They made a whole new version.
I liked this one because it had a very It had I don't want to say Count Dracula, but it did, and it had like more of a Vlad,
Yeah, it was very Russian.
very Russian with that style, the facial features.
He almost looked
and
like
the
a
hat.
Stalin czar.
Yeah, like a czar. That's what it was.
But emaciated.
Yes,
And I know
but they did have the hands with
he
the
had the long
fingers.
but he has this big mustache.
Yes,
I don't want to fully spoil it because you have to see.
You need to see it. Oh, you're going to see a lot of them.
Yeah. And I also give them credit because they did a lot like the original stuff where it's a while before you actually see him in full form.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean full vampire. He's always the same form. But I mean, it's a close-up of his eye.
Full body.
Or he's on the corner or just a shot of his side of his head. You don't get that full thing until he's kind of menacingly. There's a shot where he's menacingly coming towards you.
Yes. And I like how they did the effects too, like the floaty.
Yeah.
And it's and I like to, sometimes in movies they do that floaty dramatic thing, but then I don't know.
It looks like on a Segway rolling towards you.
Yes. This one was very slow and deliberate, but it wasn't even the coming to you. It's like the coming at you, pushing you down feeling.
I felt like they made him more imposing too.
Yes. He was.
In the original, he's very thin and tall. And he's very sinister. Mm-hmm. This one, he seems his body could have still been built that way.
Right, but they have the big cloak on him and the
he's got the big Russian fuzzy type hat thing, and he's just hulking almost.
Yes,
and so it's like when he comes on you, it's almost like when you see him from far away, he's not as imposing.
And then it starts,
but as he comes to you, it's like a shadow that grows as it gets closer, you know, or whatever. And when they start using him for that stuff, it's just creepy, and the voice going
very powerful, menacing, demanding voice. Like you can understand how people would be under his thrall because he's like, "You will do this," and they're like, "Okay, I'm gonna go do that now."
Yeah,
but it made
sense just
because
you're terrified of him.
The voice was booming. Like you didn't even use the headset thing in this, did you?
No, I couldn't use the headset because this was on. We watched it at home.
Oh, we watched it at home.
Yeah, we watched.
But I don't think
I had a screening for it to watch, but for voting for the awards.
Did you have any problems hearing anything on this one?
No, because we cranked it up. Okay. And we also had subtitles. So I was able to watch some of the subtitles. But his voice was, I think, his voice, and he had that strong accent.
Yes.
That he felt like he could be this vampire or he could lead a country.
Yeah.
Either way, you'd be terrified of him.
Now tell me about the rats. What's up with the controversy?
Well, there was a controversy about the rats because people were afraid of animal abuse things because there was 5,000 rats or something used, and they used real rats.
Well, rats were getting work.
And they said that they were able to gather up every single rat used in the scene. No one were hurt, no problems. It just, I know, the PETA and all that people come in and start complaining and whatever. I will say, there's been a lot of stuff talked about this movie about how it's terrifying and it's one of the most disturbing vampire films ever made. I don't agree with any of that.
Yeah.
I can see people being scared just in the visuals. I found it unnerving and a little creepy.
It is creepy.
I never found it scary.
Yeah, I don't think it's scary. I think it's creepy.
But again, it's all subjective because I'm not really scared of any movie that I watch.
I was going to ask you, is there anything scary to you?
The episode of Different Strokes when the Maytag man was going to molest Arnold and Dudley freaked me out.
I'm being serious.
No, I don't. I think the last time I was really affected by a movie, and it wasn't even a scary movie. It was, obviously I was younger. It was when Seven came out.
Oh,
and the movie ended. The movie was just at the time for me, it was like something I'd never seen before in the storytelling and whatever. And then the credits went backwards, and they were kind of playing to a Marilyn Manson Tool song or whatever it was, and they were kind of shaky, and it was I was already kind of on edge from how that movie played out and what I'd just seen on screen. And when those things went credit, I was just like, what? You can't do that. So it makes me uncomfortable.
Yeah.
But as far as that, I honestly don't remember being freaked out. I don't know if I'm just jaded at this point or because I have to watch so much stuff.
Watch stuff.
I just don't I can recognize the fear of stuff.
But this is not scary.
Yeah, I didn't
It's
find this one.
creepy and it's a little disturbing at times.
I can see how people can be put off by this.
There's probably like 2 scenes that might perturb people.
Yeah.
It might make you very uncomfortable. At which point, the one that's kind of like gross, it's like just stick through it because you're almost done with the movie.
Yeah.
Once you get to that point, it kind of grosses you out. Just close your eyes and roll with it.
Well, I know there's been discussion of people that have
People have walked out.
Yeah.
On
There's
that-
this weird
that
dynamic.
vampire scene, like, dude, you're near the end. Just
Well, there's this
watch
weird
the
dynamic
rest.
too of not only people being bothered by certain things. It's a very U.S. thing
Yeah.
because people in the U.S. weirdly are easily affected by things, yet they want to run around and act like they're not. But they're the first people to claim. Where if you watch movies anywhere in the world, TV, most of it's not edited anywhere else but in the U.S.
Yes.
So they feel afraid, and movie endings are changed in the U.S.
Yes.
because, like that "Speak No Evil" movie is a prime example. The ending of the original movie is way more of a downer, way more violent, way more uncomfortable, if you will.
Yep.
But they changed it because then the U.S. audiences couldn't handle it.
Yeah. And then it's funny because the director of that one,
Like, what is wrong
why
with
did
you?
they change it?
Yeah, I like the ending of the new one, but
I like how we saw the ending of that one with
Yeah,
that lady and
'cause
that man
it's
just
a
standing
downer.
there, and you're like,
if we had more
okay.
movies like that, it gives you a sense of terror because you know that anything is possible.
Anything is
We live in
possible.
a world of our movies most of the time. If it's a big screen release, studio release, that you know the hero's going to win, you know who's going to survive this movie.
Yeah.
So the stakes feel lower
Yeah.
sometimes. Whereas if it's a movie that comes straight to video or is unrated or something like that, you know, okay. And the main character dies in the first 3 or 4 minutes, you're like, wait a minute.
What? Like, the things that we can't handle is if an animal dies, it's
A child.
John Wick, a child dies, or your main character dies immediately, because then you're like, what the heck?
And
I love when I don't love when an animal dies, but if that happens, I'm like, okay, we're willing to challenge ourselves.
I get people all the time that get upset at me for this. I love when it's going to come out wrong.
It's going to sound wrong.
I like when the film story
Like, you're okay with this.
kills a child, a dog, or somebody that's not supposed to die.
Mm-hmm.
I don't need to see it on screen.
That's what I said. It's you're challenging us.
Because then I'm like, oh
as a
crap, that
viewer.
means nobody in this movie is safe.
Correct.
But if you're always like, here comes the kid, oh, that's a kid, we're not killing them. Then you're like,
Yeah.
I don't want to see children murdered. But
No,
if it fits the narrative of the story,
But yeah.
it makes you feel important. I think this movie does that kind of stuff. It
It
goes
does
there.
some kind of gross things, and I'm just like, ew.
at
But
the same time, it's not as very graphic.
no, it's not graphic bloody, but it's graphic like, ew,
Yeah.
disturbing. But you just roll with it. And like I said, you're going to get to that point. Just stick with it because you're at that point. So
There's this romanticizing of vampires. And I know that one of my friends was posting about how a lot of people were complaining that this movie had just got rid of the romance of Dracula. And I'm like,
yeah,
these people don't understand what vampire movies were supposed to be.
yeah.
There's a romance element because he's basically forcing her.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's almost a rape situation,
Yeah.
you know, because
Of course it is.
he was mind manipulating her to love him
Yep.
or to make love to him or whatever the case was. And movies like Twilight and
Anything Anne Rice.
Interview with the Vampires,
Charlene, whatever her name that wrote all the Sookie Stackhouse novels.
True Blood.
Yeah,
They
all of
took
those.
the genre, which I'm fine with. They took the genre and made love stories out of it. But the true nature of the vampire story is it is a monster
Yeah.
that preys on people, most often women. So it's almost a metaphor of rape and control and abuse
And manipulation.
but people have created this narrative. They think what the thing is without really knowing what anything is. And this movie is the same exact thing. It's not even running around raping people, but it's holding on to the narrative of control and forced love and forced relationships or whatever
Mm-hmm.
through abuse and power.
Manipulation and power, control, all that. Yeah.
I love this movie. It's a slow burn, a lot of times.
Yeah,
it's not an
slow.
exciting action,
Just be prepared.
not even exciting horror. It's talky, as she likes to
It's
say.
a talkie.
But there's some beautiful imagery, and it weaves in and out of kind of black and white and color.
Yeah,
but it's always in gray.
It's gray tone. That gray tone, and there's moments where you might see like one
like a
bright
fire
color,
flame or something.
everything's still gray.
Did you notice how it
tone,
seems
gritty,
when Orlok's on screen? It even's more black and white,
and then just fire.
then when he goes back to other people, it seems a little more color.
A little bit more color,
like
tone.
monochrome.
Yes,
kind of tones.
But I
love
like
this
that.
movie.
I like
This movie
that
was
color
fantastic.
It was really good.
This is a movie. I don't think this is one I can watch a bunch of times because you got to be able to sit down and really like sit with it.
Yes.
But it is a movie that I would enjoy watching multiple times.
Yeah, I would watch this again.
Because I think you can always find something new in the background or the visuals. And this movie very much plays up the setting as its own character as well, which I always love. These towns, there's some great shots. There's a genius play with the shadows. It's just like the original film.
Yeah.
Like I think Eggers has made a masterpiece with this film. This is definitely one of my top 10 for this year. I think it's that good. I think Skarsgård is amazing in this role.
He did such a good job.
He did say that he's probably going to veer off of horror for a while.
Yeah, this was too scary.
And I think this is where it's his statements, I think, is what's caused some of the controversy of what you're getting, because he said that this movie put him in a weird place, but he's inhabiting the character.
That's what I read an interview, a comment about that. It said it was terrifying because for him, his process is he feels like he's a vessel channeling the energy of whatever the character is, and he had to go into a really dark, like it.
This is the darkest he felt, and he played It the Clown.
That's what I'm saying. He played it, and this is the one that freaked him out because he said he had to channel the energy of perhaps someone that did live, like a Vlad the Impaler kind of energy, but then also the energy of like this man, like you were saying, that's manipulating this girl and really trying to control and possess this whole entire town and the village and all these things. And then physically inhabit the character that's looming body. And some of the stuff that happens, it was just too dark for him because he was having to channel that energy.
Is as much of that story as you think about his obsession with the girl.
Yeah.
Most of his scenes are with the guy.
Yes.
It's not a whole lot of him and the lady together. It's him manipulating the guy to get him where he wants to be.
Right.
You know,
and still not at the same time going around and manipulating her.
Yeah. So there's like 3 stories unfolding, I guess.
Yeah.
It'd be her dealing with her guy being gone, the dreams she's having, and all this stuff. You have the guy dealing with the Orlok thing and him signing paperwork and manipulating on what's happening, and then you have the Renfield guy.
He's gone crazy.
Yeah, he's going into a madness.
Well, and also too, what's happening in the town, because eventually the plague with the rats come. You know, they think it's the rats.
The plague.
You know what? The guy Craven the Hunter, Johnson.
Oh, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
He's good in this. He's totally a side character, but he's there quite often.
He's kind of the straight man.
Such a good job just in that period timepiece, trying to be an upstanding man. But at some point, he's like, you need to leave my house because you crazy. You know, he's I don't want. He also got to be
English.
Yeah,
which he is. Yeah.
So it's a good movie all around.
You should check it out. Fantastic. It will be on the top 10 this year for me. And I hope this movie gets some nominations for some stuff because it well deserves it. And if anything, I think Bill Skarsgård deserves a nomination for the character of Orlok.
Yeah.
I never really would have thought somebody could have pulled off remaking this movie and make it work as powerful to me.
Yeah.
And I think it surpasses the original in every way.
Yeah.
It doesn't diminish the original.
I like that it's faithful to that story and it's following it kind of scene for scene, just expanding it. And it's providing us a little bit more story to fill in some of the gaps.
It doesn't diminish the power of the original film. It basically says, here's a starting point. Let's fix this and make it better.
Let's make it better. But they use some of the dialogue from the cards.
Yes.
Which I loved because it's very old English style dialogue. That comes up on the theme of the actual dialogue. It's like, yes, that was cool. It's a very cool movie.
It's a great film.
Check it out.
Film. If you want to just watch something different, it's a little bit of a long run time, not not brutalist long. It's like 3.5 hours, but it's and again, it's a slow pace. Just you got to mentally prepare yourself for it because I will say I think this is one you'll like or you don't. I don't think there's going to be a lot of in between on this one.
Yeah.
I think it's just you connect with it or you don't connect with it. And I, for one, connected with it. I love this movie. And Robert Eggers keeps knocking it out of the park. I don't know what this little move I just did was, but that's my new move now. All I'll use it in every show now.
All right. Anyway, thank you.
Say something.
You're awesome, babe. There you go. All right.
Every time.
Since we're in a weird spot, just be sure to go to our website, hollywoodmatrimony.com. Check the contest button. That's where all the free stuff is. Please go find us on Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, Blue Sky Hive, everywhere.
Social media, find us.
Go find us. Go follow, like, subscribe. If the notifications bother you, turn them off. It's okay. Just go like, subscribe, and all those things, because that's how we get all the free stuff to give away.
And a theater filled with things like Sonic 3, Mufasa, Moana 2, all those things, be a Nosferatu.
There you go. We'll see you later. Bye.